Jeremy, what is the dollar call you have at CIBC? You have such an interesting view based out of Toronto and London. What is your dollar call as we go into that first Tuesday of November?
Well, we do think that the US dollar is going to be under downward pressure through the course of calendar year 2020. So I think there are a number of factors. I think the political uncertainty, is one of those. And I think that will cause some international investors just to fight shy a little bit of putting money to work back into the US through the course of this year. I think there is going to be that deceleration in growth. I think the recession story, which was evident through the course of the latter stages of last year, is rather overdone. But nevertheless, the deceleration, I think, is nonetheless likely through the course of this year. So I think it's going to be a case of slower growth, political risk. I think the fiscal backdrop as well will also prove to play rather negatively in terms of the dollar. So I think it is a story where we are going to see a depreciation of the value of the dollar. It's not going to be an exponential one. It's not going to be a free-fall move lower. But I think it is going to be something which perhaps will please the president because, of course, he is always keen to see a more competitive dollar to level up that playing field for the US.
Yeah, and Jeremy, can we join the dots like this? It's a presidential election year. Therefore, President Trump is going to want to make a deal with China beyond phase one, and therefore the Fed is on hold.
Well, and I think it's interesting in a sense because the sort of the timing of some of the domestic political dynamics, and of course in that context the impeachment process, which was ongoing in the latter stages of last year, may have been a factor which perhaps brought forward some of those discussions in terms of the phase one deal. There's a sort of an alternative or a pushback against some of that negative publicity. But you're absolutely right that in the context of an election year, it makes sense for the president to be having an opportunity to provide something in terms of a trade win for the US to try and provide a little bit of impetus for the US economy going forward. So I think there is an assumption that there will be some degree of movement, or there won't be that that sort of extension of that negativity on the trade side through the course of 2020 because of the political headwinds, or political timetable, I should say.